So many people want to give you advice on what's considered a good deal, but there's only one problem with that advice. They're not actually negotiating car deals. Everybody loves to give advice based off statistics or based off of what they feel like is a good deal, but very few people are actually getting down and dirty and seeing what dealerships are willing to give. I negotiate over 150 deals on a monthly basis, and Mazda is one of our top 5 brands. So I can give you real-time data over the last 30 days of deals that we have negotiated so you know what to expect when you're buying your next car. Mazda is one of my favorite brands because I think they make a car that competes with the luxury of a German car, but in a Japanese price point. So let's get into the best deals you can get on a Mazda today. Let's get into it, guys. We're gonna talk about Mazda. First off, we're gonna talk about the CX-70. Now, CX-70 is honestly a car that has a weird place in the market. I don't understand the place in this market. I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks gorgeous, but they did not do much to differentiate this car from a CX-90. And you might say, Tommy, it's cheaper than a CX-90 because the CX-90 has a third row and the CX-70 doesn't. Incorrect. The CX-70 is more expensive. If somebody at Mazda USA has talked to me a few times, they've had conversations with me. If they want to reach out and tell me exactly why they're different, they certainly can. Troy, if you want to have a conversation, my employee was a GM at Mazda. By all means, you can. 7 to 10% all day on the inline 6 turbo. Now, this car also comes in a plug-in hybrid. You can plug in the car, get 26 miles of range. Honestly, it's pretty good. The best way to buy this car is going to be what we call the lease and dash. What you do is you buy the car, you lease it to get the $7,500 lease credit. That credit could end once the new presidency comes in, but right now it's here, and you buy it out 1 month later. Discount on both these cars are 7 to 10% off MSRP, depending on your region. The higher you go up in trim, the better deal you can get, but the lease and dash is what you're looking for on the plug-in. And for the other one, they are going to be at 7 to 10% off, and you want to buy or purchase, doesn't matter. The incentives on these cars are crazy. They're offering 0% on both. Next is the CX-90. Honestly, I think it's the better version of the CX-70. You guys can see right off the bat, price point starts at $37,000. One of the things that Mazda did is they lowered the MSRP of this car. Again, Mazda, I don't know what you're thinking. I think Mazda makes a lot of really, really good decisions, but then they just confuse. Like, why is this car cheaper? Why is this... Somebody at Mazda needs to justify why a CX-90 is less expensive than a CX-70. Those same dang car. The interior is almost identical. I'd argue the CX-70 is a little bit nicer, but it's not $4 or $5 grand more nice. Make your case, Mazda. Make your case. But nobody's listening. 7 to 10% off all day, plus rebates. Remember, when we're talking about these discounts, we're talking off MSRP, and we are not talking about any dealer add-ons. Don't pay for the dealer add-ons. Don't pay for the theft. Don't pay for the paint. None of those should be counted in your discounts. Anytime I'm talking about discounts that here we deliver at delivered, we're not talking about add-ons. 7 to 10% off the third row CX-90, 24, a little bit higher, 25, a little bit less. Plug-in hybrid, guess what? You're going to see the trend. $7,500 plug-in rebate. You'll want to lease it, then buy it. The lease and dash is in effect for this car. Lease and dash. Boom. Next is the Mazda CX-30. It's a good economy car. Manufacturers, if you're listening, Mazda, if you're listening, not one person has ever bought your car because it has Alexa built in. I'm sorry. Nobody, I don't even think that was a deciding factor. I don't think somebody was looking at the Mazda, looking at Toyota.
Mazda has Alexa built in.
Stop it. Advertise things people care about. If somebody can tell me that they love Alexa being built in, they use it all the time, I'll stand corrected. But I don't think anybody's ever said it. And now you guys can't just say it in chat because you want to say it in chat. But if you're watching this video and you're like, Tommy, I use the Alexa every darn day, by all means, I'll stand corrected. I will go and I'll go sit in that chair and I will ponder the next comment I make. Yeah, if Siri was built in, I'd be a little bit more impressed. But Alexa, sorry, you're outdated. 7 to 10% off all day on this car is what you should be expecting. There's no plug-in hybrid. There's no hybrid. It's a good car. 7 to 10% off, but you're really getting closer to that 8 or 9% is what I should expect in most markets. Again, higher dock fee, higher discount. Now, CX-5 versus the CX-50. Let me give you the differences because people do not understand the differences. The CX-5 and the CX-50 are so similar, but there's two small, really differences. First off, the CX-5 is a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, and a little less wide. So if you sit a little wide on your seat, the CX-5 is going to be a little bit smaller. You have a little bit wider seats in the CX-50. Otherwise, they're about the same dang car other than the design elements. The CX-5 is a more luxurious drive. It's for the people who like luxury. Well, the CX-50 is for off-road ruggedness. even though it's not that off-roady or rugged, but it looks like an off-road ruggy. And like some small things, like if you want a panoramic moonroof, you go CX-50. If you're like Tommy, I don't like moonroofs, you go CX-5. My theory is the CX-5 doesn't exist for more than another 5 years. It just doesn't make sense being that close in the same class. And I think manufacturers need to stop manufacturing so many dang cars. So 7 to 10% off of the CX-5. If you're getting a CX-5 2024 and it still exists, you should be able to get over 10% plus rebates. 1.9% available. Honestly, the better one to buy in December is going to be the CX-50. The CX-50, the reason being, it's better to lease, it's better to finance. And it has, see, look, the CX-50 understands available panoramic roof. It's a big deal. Look how rugged it is. Look, you don't see this car anywhere other than the wilderness. 7 to 10%. You guys can see it drove in the trees, it drove on dirt, and it drove in the forest. Not every car can do that. But again, I want to remind you, it can drive in dirt, it can drive in a forest, and it can drive where the trees are. It's pretty crazy. 7 to 10% all day, 0% available. If you're picking between them and you're just trying to get the best incentive, I would say CX-50 right now. And honestly, I'm a big fan of the panoramic moonroof because I want you to go down here and I want you to look at these trees. Look at the trees. I could look up and be like, wow. Isn't that fun? Isn't that cool? Isn't that great? Now, the new car that just came out, the new car on the street, is the CX-50 hybrid. And this is one of the reasons why I think that the CX-5 is going away. Because they only did the hybrid with the CX-50. They've done a hybrid with every other car, but they didn't put one on the CX-5, they put one on the CX-50. Maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. First off, I told you once, I told you again, nobody cares that it has Alexa built in. Stop it. One thing I like about this car, and this might give you a really good reason, is the CX-50 uses the old Toyota hybrid powertrain, which you might say, Tommy, I like all the great new technology, so I want the fancy stuff. Well, it's your engine, and you're not going to notice things are engine, and it's a little less efficient than the old one, but most people would agree it's one of the most reliable drivetrains in the world. And people ask Tommy, why do you like Mazda so much? I think Mazda has been one of the, since Ford bought out there, or since they bought out Ford's portion and they own 100%, I think they've been one of the most reliable cars in the market. They've built like the CX-30, for example, the CX-50 hybrid are being built in Toyota plants. There is a good reason why this car is just kind of awesome. But the hybrid gives you a fuel economy, 38 miles to the gallon. Golly gee willikers. Combined 3.9%. The incentives aren't great. Now discounts, you might say, Tommy, what kind of discounts can I expect on a CX-50 hybrid? It's a little bit up in the air. Some dealerships are trying to charge markups. What I've learned with Mazda is that every dealership tries to charge a markup when they come back, and then they realize that they're still Mazda and they don't have market share yet. 5% is probably the best deal you're getting on one. Somebody just said they got 8% off. If you can get 8% off, that's incredible, and the market might be shifting that dramatically. So let's just say 5 to 8%. I haven't seen 10% off on this car yet. I haven't seen 10% off. And once I do, I'll let you know. 5 to 8% off. We've only done 5% off, but we haven't done a lot of these. They're still very new. We're still doing more of the gas models more than anything else. Let's go on to this Mazda 3 hatchback and Mazda 3 sedan. I'm not going to make two separate pages on here because guess what? It doesn't really matter because honestly, we all agree. We can all agree as a chat. The better looking car is the hatch, right? The hatch is better. Look at this car and tell me it looks better than this car. This is a Kodo exterior design. The Mazda 3 design creates a sense of motion even at standstill with striking curves and angles. One thing I like about Mazda is they're fun to drive. They're fun to drive. Again, they're not fast, just like the Miata. Like everybody knew the Miata. It's like, woo, it's fun. No, we're just talking about Mazdas. But it has Alexa built in, 7 to 10% off. 7 to 10% off all day. Now, we're going to go into the Mazda Miata. Now, the Miata is what this car has been known for a long time. One of the best manuals in the market. It has a kinematic posture control. I don't even know what that is. But guess what? It has it. They're good. I'm going to say We don't do a lot of these, but the last one we did was like 2,400 off MSRP. I've seen people getting up to 10% off. This person wanted a very particular trim, color, and option set that was close to them. I bet you could get close to 8% off, 9% off, but that's what I'm seeing right now. Now Mazda doesn't do anything else. That's all we got. That is all we got from Mazda, guys.